You mentioned you have a grassroots campaign. Let's fast forward to just last year. You lost the Democratic primary for Missouri's open Senate seat. This is now your second campaign. So, what did you learn from that experience?
I think I just learned how hard it is for an everyday person. I got no family money, no political connections. I mean, it's not like my parents suddenly got rich, right? When my mom got cancer a few years ago, she was working an hourly job and she wasn't able to afford it anymore and had to move in with me. That's how we have to take care of each other out here in normal America. And so for me, what I learned is that if you live in normal America and that's where you come from, like politics is often inaccessible. You either have to sell out early or you have to be born with money to make it. And those are two things that I refuse to do. Like I refuse to sell out. And so what we learned to do in that first campaign was how to raise money the right way. We built a record-breaking grassroots fundraising movement. And in this year, that's really shown. I mean, we raised $1.1 million in the first 3 months of this year. That's more than any Democrat or Republican has ever raised at that point in a campaign before. It's letting us get our message out there and really do things the right way. Because the only people that I ever want to owe in my campaign are everyday Missourians, like the ones who took care of me and my family when we went bankrupt. And what we learned in that first campaign was how to make it so that that's the way it will only ever be.
I'm hearing some themes from you, common themes. You're saying everyday people, normal Americans, things like that. Would you characterize yourself as a moderate Democrat?
No, I characterize myself as a populist. For me, a lot of people try to put you on this spectrum where it's like far left, right, somewhere in the middle, moderate, progressive, whatever else. For me, this is a top bottom campaign. This is about everyday Americans coming together to go against the system and a set of people who don't care about them and have been just leaving our communities behind. So, whenever I get asked if I can embrace the label, I'm going with populist. I want to take that label back because I think it's the right thing. We have to fundamentally change who has power in this country, and we have to empower everyday people to take care of each other again.
Sure, you're labeling yourself as a populist. So, is there anyone right now, any politician in the Senate, in the House, that you could look to and say, hey, they match my views most?
Well, I really, really, I'm going to cheat on this question because I live in Independence, and right down the street from me is Harry Truman's house. And so, for me, when Harry Truman was in the Senate, and then when he was the president, he was a true populist right here from Missouri. He took care of everyday people. He fought for everyday people. He did things like integrate the military. And so, for me, that's who I really like. Currently, I think Sherrod Brown's great, John Tester. Again, some of these people who have a real anti-monopoly sort of focused and go against some of the massive corporations, at least some of the time, that are doing us dirty.
You mentioned Harry Truman. ABC and Washington Post actually just came out with a poll last month in May that President Biden is currently polling at 36% approval rating. That is the lowest approval rating since Harry Truman when they started taking this poll. So I'm just going to ask you point blank, do you support President Biden's reelection bid?
Look, sometimes when you make hard decisions and you take care of everyday people, the media comes after you, right? That's what happened to Harry Truman. I mean, Harry Truman made a real decision to sacrifice the South. He by integrating the military, he knew it was going to cost him the South. He knew it was going to be highly unpopular. And then in 1948, he won in a surprise anyway over Dewey, right? He still won because he did the right thing and people were there with them. I really appreciate some of the things President Biden's done. I mean, he has made the decision to invest in our country again. It was unpopular when he pulled out Afghanistan. I don't understand why. We needed to pull out of Afghanistan 20 years ago. I'm telling you, I went there twice. The Marine Corps taught me Pashto. I could speak with people in that country. I knew what was going on there. And the fact that we stayed as long as we did and spent trillions of dollars over there rather than investing here in our country is an absolute tragedy. And so for me, sometimes when you make unpopular decisions, even though they're the right decision, you get a little bit of blowback for that. And so, I liked what Truman did, and a lot of these things that the president's done have been good too.
It sounds like you're a little shy of saying, yes, you do support his reelection, but you do support some of what President Biden's saying. So would you accept an endorsement from President Biden?
Well, I don't even know if I'm on these guys' radar yet, right? What I'm doing right now is I'm just focusing on my race here in Missouri. I'm focusing on everyday Missourians. I'm focusing on the people that are most important to me, and that's not DC politicians. When I'm looking for endorsements right now, that's not who I'm going to. I'm going to local unions. So, I've gotten a bunch of union endorsements yesterday. The St. Louis Building and Trades group endorsed me. The KC Buildings and Trades endorsed a few weeks ago. The state firefighters endorsed about a week and a half ago. And so for me, those are people who represent everyday Missourians. I'm not interested in getting DC endorsements. That's just seems like kind of not what I meant. That's not my thing. What I want is everyday Missourians. I'm really proud to get the firefighters endorsement. And this shows just sort of the competitiveness and the viability of this race. The firefighters are endorsing the Republican for governor. They endorsed Eric Schmidt, who's our current Republican senator, and they endorsed our previous Republican senator, Roy Blunt. And yet they've endorsed me because they've seen the way that Hawley treats everyday working people. They've seen the way that he's left our state behind. And they like my record of service, 13 years in the Marine Corps, and where I come from. And so for me, those are the types of endorsements I'm looking for.